Welcome to today's episode, everyone. We've got a very exciting guest for you guys. For those of you just joining the podcast, we're E.N.G Media, and we specialize in helping software and technology companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your software or tech business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs. But without further ado, Ralph, thank you so much for coming onto our podcast today. I'm excited to dive into WeCheck's solutions, all the awesome things that you guys are working on. So really appreciate you coming on today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I know last time we talked, your journey was very interesting when it comes to WeCheck and kind of what's led you to the point to where you guys are now. So maybe can you kind of walk through with me from kind of when you started the business back in July of 2023 as kind of like a background check technology company for to help out realtors, really kind of to what's led you to the point to where you're at now, to kind of what your due diligence stack looks like, and kind of how you're leveraging AI agents, which I'm excited for the audience to hear as well.
Yeah. So back in July, I was working at another startup with my co-founder, CTO Matias. And during that time, him and I, we really hit it off. We were becoming friends after working for each other for a couple years, and we're like, you know what, man, we should do our own thing. And then at that same time, another friend of ours really wanted to get involved with something regarding data. And then we put our minds together and we said, you know what, let's create a startup around real estate and make some data into it, but also that has some meaning and we can help people and provide some safety. And then we just said, okay, well, let's create a quick, less than 5 minute background check on someone that a realtor can use, and
Nice.
they can kind of vet someone, before they meet them at a random showing, because they'll just get a call like, hey, can I meet you at this apartment or this house? And
Oh
we
yeah.
want to make sure that, like a sex offender or something like that. So
Right.
so we went down that route first. We incorporated the company, late July, and then we didn't really put the team together till about September.
Nice.
And then we had our first minimal viable product MVP
Hmm.
a couple months later. And, immediately during that time while it was being built, we were already talking to several different associations in the realtor world, also other big companies in the realtor world. And we even went to California to the
Oh wow.
National Association of Realtor event, all that stuff, started getting connected and sending out demos and prototype and
Nice.
decks. And then all of a sudden, late 2023, early 2024, a huge bombshell drops on the realtor business, which was like this multi-billion-dollar lawsuit
Oh wow.
uh, against their sales contracts and all that. And everyone just like at that moment stopped talking to us. They some of them responded like, did you not hear the news? Like,
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, okay, what does it mean? And they're like, I mean, some of them were talking to us like they didn't even know if they're going to be in business next year.
Gee.
So we were just like, oh, what do we do? And then we asked them, okay, so what'd you think about? At least give us some feedback. What you like,
Sure.
and the good response around that was our data around like finding people on social media, for example,
Hmm.
that was really intriguing for them. So we decided to hang on to that and say, hey, why don't we expand a little bit more
Yeah.
and focus in on that specialty that we have on being able to find people on social media, but go even deeper, find
Mhm.
their red flags, find and analyze them and all that. And so beginning of 2024, second quarter 2024, we came out with another MVP architecture, full MVP, by mid Q2. And around that time, our CEO, that I wasn't the CEO at that time,
Uh-huh.
and co-founder, that other friend of ours, he comes to us saying, "Hey, man, I'm gonna have to let this go because I'm having personal issues, health issues,
Mm.
all these things going on with his life." And then we're like, "No way, man, no way!" And I'm the CEO at COO at that time.
Hmm.
He drops a bombshell on me, telling me like, "You're gonna have to take over the reins, buddy. Here you go."
Oh wow.
I was not expecting that, man. And then all
Wow.
of a sudden, it's like, okay, I have to put a focus now and figure out how am I going to drive the vision and the mission now and strategize
Yeah.
for what is now this brand new thing that we just did,
Right.
right? Now, second MVP. And how are we going to deliver this to the market, get new clients, get all of the things that you need as a startup
Yep.
to, oh, and by the way, we had just raised on the first MVP, we had just raised $325,000 from friends and family. We couldn't just give up. I couldn't just drop that money and say, "Oh, sorry guys,
Right.
everything's going wrong,"
Yep.
so you lost your money. No, and I'm not a quitter in that sense. So whatever, we started focusing in on that product to having to be more industry agnostic at first, so that we can kind of find a product market fit,
Nice.
and yeah, here we are today helping the due diligence industry, helping HR departments as well. And ultimately, what we do is we find what background checks miss, right? Background checks will find out whatever the government may know about you, but the
Sure.
thing is, the government probably doesn't know that much. And like, unless you have a criminal background check or something like that,
Mhm.
like a criminal history, they're really not going to know much. And maybe they'll check your credit report, but
Yeah.
then it's like, there's only so much you can find out there in a credit report.
100%.
Um, and so, we decided you can find out a lot more on someone's digital footprint, like their social media, web presence, blogs, all that. And
Yeah.
so we created a product that's what it encompasses is your full digital footprint, so that organizations can know who they're about to invest in, hire, partner with, and we've uncovered some pretty interesting things.
Wow. No, I appreciate you kind of sharing that background. And I think that, like what you mentioned, obviously, these HR companies, they want to make sure they're not hiring criminals, but just kind of looking at some stats on your guys' website, like 99% of sex abusers don't show up in a background check. Like 99% of cyber criminals also don't have a criminal record. And then also 87% of fraudsters are also kind of just flying under the radar. So I think like there is that huge gap from what's caught on like a criminal background check versus what can be uncovered just on somebody's social media and like some of the data points that are online. And I know that's really what you guys specialize in, is looking at a user's social activity and really putting together a more holistic picture of kind of who that person is, making sure that they fit within like because I know you guys aren't making the decision if somebody's hired or not. You're kind of just providing that insight to the companies that you work with of like, hey, this just so you know, right?
Yeah, we're in the identification business, right?
Gotcha.
We Hey, here are all the social media accounts or the blogs that we found them in, or other
Wow.
places on the net where we have found them in, and these are some of the red flags we may have found, etc. Here's a synopsis about them.
Oh, wow.
Um, and if you want to go directly to it, here's a link. You can go directly to it. If you just
Wow.
want to see the cut out pieces, here it is,
Hmm.
and the reasons why they were flagged, right? So
100%.
yeah,
I think that's huge too. And like I said, not all of the activity that you guys find is probably criminal, but a lot of it is something I think that can affect an organization's culture. Like, what are some maybe do you have like an example at the top of your mind that you can think of? And maybe we don't have to talk about a specific scenario because I know a lot of that information is sensitive, like with what you're doing with your clients. But have you seen in your space of like the due diligence space, I guess, any type of like activity that's been uncovered on social media that's maybe negatively impact, or like certain patterns that negatively impacts organizational culture that kind of ends up really negatively impacting the companies?
I mean, we can start off with something that's happening now that we're seeing a lot on the news, which is like anti-Semitism, right?
Mm,
Racism, things like that, things that it, you just wouldn't have expected, like an executive to be putting out there, or to
right.
have put out there in the past, and that now with the way people are getting better at searching for things,
Mhm.
could come and bite you later. If, like, let's
Right.
say you're a private equity company and you're
Hmm.
about to buy another company for a big sum of money,
Uh-huh.
and you're going to keep the executive team there, and now obviously you're going to do some checks on them, you're going to do some checks on the company, you're going to do your full due diligence.
Hmm.
Aside from all the financial stuff, you want to check the people. And so let's just say, you do a check on some of the executives, and one of the executives pops out that he has some meme accounts out there,
Mm,
and they're saying some crazy things that they shouldn't be saying.
right.
Um, and nobody's caught him yet, right? Nobody's caught up to that. But Someone could someday, some point, a social media sleuth could go out there and finally, figure it out. And oh, that's an executive from ABC company.
100%.
How are they, getting these investments and all working with these big clients and the whole
Right.
world start crashing down on that private equity company that just makes that huge investment into that company who now has to do a big fire drill, put out
Yeah.
fires, PR and all that stuff. And it can end up costing them millions of dollars. That's the reality.
Right.
And some companies, it could cost them fines. Like in the financial institution world. So before all this, um, so a little bit of myself real quick.
Sure.
When I got out of high school, went to the Marine Corps. I became military police. I got a little taste of investigations there. From
Uh,
there, once I got out, went to college and got recruited with Merrill Lynch.
uh,
Merrill Lynch was amazing. I was growing every year, and then eventually Bank of America Private Bank, and there, when you have these licenses, Series 7 and 66,
mhm.
regulations dictate like what you cannot say online. Like your compliance department is responsible for you, and they have to give you authority to say certain things about investments online. So, like for
Yeah.
example, if an advisor starts talking about Bitcoin and their compliance team don't ever talk about Bitcoin, but they can't track them. They can't
Mm.
track them on Instagram or
Right.
what they're putting out. And that guy's off like a loose cannon. Well, guess what? That could not only just cost them maybe reputation points, but also fines
Ah.
with those agencies. So it's like, so it goes deeper, right? It
Yeah.
could be reputation risk, could be regulatory risk, it could be and cultural risk. Like now, let's go back to let's say you hired some intern,
Hmm.
comes in, just an intern, but he's got these radical views against, let's say, he's an anti-Semite, let's say,
Hmm.
and now it's like you're bringing this person in who's going into your office
Hmm.
or even working on a Zoom or whatnot,
Sure.
and it's like, are they going to start, roughing off some feathers there? Like even if it's
Right.
temporary, let's say he was only there for a month, and
Hmm.
like the last couple weeks, he starts saying some crazy things. You fire him shortly after, but that leaves a bad taste in the team's mouth.
100%.
And so it's like so many things can happen from bringing in a bad apple.
Yeah.
And what we try to do is try to find those bad apples and really give it a better inspection than just like the traditional background check. Like again, it's just kind of like from far, just oh yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Check off some boxes.
It really sounds too like that the whole background check process is a little bit outdated. I mean, there's obviously like full scale federal background checks that people go through, which obviously look to uncover a lot more.
Right.
But I think just a generalized process really seems super outdated. And I think like the need for proper compliance and also the availability of like different data points that you can collect now really provide like a good opportunity for you guys at WeCheck to be able to uncover a lot of those insights and be able to save a lot of those organizations kind of beforehand and on the front end before something happens, later on down the line that really screws their reputation or causes them to lose money, right?
Also saving them time and money, right? Because you just mentioned like the government. So for
Mhm.
example, yeah, secret clearance, all that stuff. They'll hire, an outside third party company
Yep.
to do investigations on whoever's going to be getting those clearances. Might even send somebody to your house.
Yep.
Might send them to your neighbor's house. Hey, do you know this guy? You know Ralph.
Yep.
And that takes time. Now they also have human analysts that go through the social media.
Ah,
But a lot of times that human will miss a lot of things. They're human. They're scrolling, but how far do they scroll?
right.
How far do they go into the details, into the comments, into the shares?
Hmm.
AI agents that we've built, like we can go back years.
Oh, wow.
We can go look at those comments. We can look at those posts. And so we go pretty deep.
Yeah.
And we can also look for areas where maybe, a friend had posted them and that's public,
Hmm.
right? And just keep cross-referencing, keep
Oh, wow.
digging deeper sideways. So Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that humans actually miss,
Yeah.
even though there are those types of checks that exist.
Hmm.
And now that, AI has come forward and provided us with these amazing tools that we can fine tune for our purposes,
Yeah.
um, we see the ability to replace many of those due diligence functions with AI agents. And you know what? The fact is, we believe that there will be a need for humans in all these departments to at least verify what the AI provided is true.
Hmm.
And there will be laws that come about, like in Europe,
Hmm.
where like you can't, for all of these reports, you can't just rely solely on technology. There has to be human verification.
Gotcha.
So there will be a need for humans. I think
Yeah.
that now humans, what we all need to do is learn how to use these tools the best as possible,
Yeah.
learn to be more efficient, and just welcome it in, but become a
100.
specialist in using all these tools so that you can do your job better.
Yeah. 1,000%. And I love that you guys are really looking to save all of this time along the process. I know kind of right when I had gotten out of college, I had a job opportunity to work with the federal government as well. And really that the hiring process, like I got a letter that I was accepted for the job pending I pass a background check. I didn't realize that it was going to take 6 to 9 months along that process. And I know they do a lot of due diligence, but kind of from your perspective, knowing what you know about what AI agents are capable of, if you were to do a similar like federal background check, let's just call it on somebody that would normally take the federal government like 6 to 9 months, how long do you think something like that would take, AI agents to do, kind of just keeping them generally the same type of a process?
I think we're already saving companies and organizations 90% of their time.
Wow. So you could
Yeah.
shave 90% of time off of that 6 to 9 months.
That's the goal. That's the goal, is to shave even more, right?
Yeah.
Get it down to just, I mean, if you think about all the tools that are out there now, you just have to put them together the right way.
100%.
But AI agents, can go out there and do a lot of those jobs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the what will take, some of that those days and perhaps weeks will
Hmm.
be that human verification function of like, okay, did the agent look through all these things properly? Was
Yep.
there anything that potentially was missed? Which there's less and less of that, at least for us.
Wow.
We start like our first, after going to market with our MVP for this second for this second,
Uh-huh.
iteration of the product, um, was like around May and of last year, 2024.
Uh-huh.
So it's been a year,
Nice.
and every month we've improved upon that product, and we've tied human in the loop on that, so that if there was anything that the AI missed or anything like
Hmm.
that, um, the AI gets improved.
Gotcha.
So for every single report that happens, our model's improving. And so, like, we're, I always say this, like, a year ago, if you would have looked at, what we were doing to
Hmm.
today, I mean, we are light years ahead already from
Wow.
compared to last year. And I can only imagine what's going to happen next year.
Right.
It's just getting more and more advanced. And honestly, this is good. This is a good thing
Uh-huh.
because we need this. And that first statistic that you mentioned from our website, right,
Hmm.
about 99% of child predators not having a criminal check, or
Right.
not popping up on a criminal check and things like that. Like that, to me, that's like personal. Like that's my goal, is to be able to use our technology to fight human trafficking. Like we
100%.
have a commercial aspect, right? But we want to take this to a level that, our government, and other organizations out there that are trying to fight some horrendous crimes
Yeah.
can use this to find people that are doing horrific things and keep us safe, and not just us in the United States, but globally,
Right.
because these are global issues. So, so yeah, I mean, we're very passionate about what we do around that.
I love that. And I love that really sounds like your guys' why is a lot bigger than just being financially motivated. I know like the first time that we had talked, I'd asked you really what the main goal was kind of with all of this. And you mentioned it was to be able to stop the human trafficking, like the child sex trafficking and all of like the horrible stuff that's going on. And really, I could tell that that was a lot, like that reason was a lot stronger than any kind of financial motive. And so I think with you guys coming from that place, you guys will actually be able to get to that solution a lot faster because it's a lot bigger than yourselves and I guess like personal reasons, right?
100%. Look, I mean, when I told you, that the my ex-founder
Hmm.
decided, that he couldn't keep going anymore with us. That was a very pivotal moment for me as a founder and then new CEO.
Yeah.
And I'm a man of faith, and I'm one that you will try to seek guidance from a much higher power.
Yep.
And that's where I was driven to. Before that, we were not really focused on that,
Hmm.
and until that moment. So some things happen for a reason,
Yeah.
and and I and now it's, yeah, every single day I wake up, it doesn't matter if it's a bad day, good day, if there's a fire or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
Like, I know that there is a child out there praying to be found. That
100%.
as we're talking, as you and I are having this
Jeez.
conversation, and it doesn't have to be a child. It could be any person out there. There's
Right.
someone there praying to be found, right? And they're being held by someone who
Yeah.
has who has a digital footprint, by the way,
Oh, wow.
because everybody has a digital footprint. And they have a digital footprint, and and so ultimately, my goal is to build the technology so good that
Uh,
it's going to be it's amazing for due diligence,
yeah.
but it can solve these world problems.
The key problem. And no, that's really a powerful statement. And it's true, which is really the scary part. That's why I love having this podcast because I get the opportunity to talk about like businesses that are really created to solve like deep rooted problems that we kind of face as people. And I think your story and your why is definitely one of the more powerful examples that we've had on this podcast. So I appreciate you sharing that. So I mean, yeah, I'm definitely excited to keep following along with everything that WeCheck has going on. Really, a question I always like to ask are like kind of outside of like your main why and your main goal. Do you have any other goals in the next 12 months, maybe related to offering any kind of new solutions? Are you guys trying to perfect anything with what you offer currently, or like, do you guys have any, I guess, measurable goals in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months, well, right now
Hmm.
we are like raising capital. So that's like one of
Nice.
our things as a startup. So we are talking to VCs. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things within the 12 months that is happening. We're also getting certifications to handle other industries,
Nice.
including the financial institution world, because
Nice.
a lot of these things also happen in finance, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
I mentioned before, and we can go really deep into fighting financial crime,
Right.
anti-money laundering, KYC issues. So we can go very deep into that. But in the next 12 months, let's I do like to think very positively.
Yeah.
Closing on the investments, getting some more institutional clients.
Yep.
We already have, some top law firms that we're working with.
Hmm.
I mentioned rapidly growing due diligence companies that we're working with,
Yeah.
and we're looking to partner up with many more.
Yeah.
We now have something much more scalable too, and so scale for us is key. But then at the end of those 12 months, we'd like to start offering to those existing clients
Hmm.
some document verification solutions as well that we've been working on.
Nice.
Um, and I know that right now there's some startups already doing, like with OCR technology, being able to capture text that's already on documents and parsing them
Oh wow.
out and structuring them and stuff like that. So that's already going on.
Yeah.
But we take it to a level of verification of those documents, and so there's a lot of interesting things that we have going on, and there's more that my CTO is working on
Uh-huh.
that, like, I don't want to discuss right now,
Yeah.
but it's really interesting, and the more I talk about it, the more people join in,
Hmm.
We have some amazing people joining in with us for free, which is amazing.
Nice.
Like obviously everybody wants something out of whatever they're
Sure.
doing. But some people, what they get out of it for helping us is like, hey, like they're working with a company that is changing things in
Right.
this landscape, and not only like for money. Yes, it's 100 billion plus industry,
Hmm.
right? Um, and 100% anyone that's coming our way at this very moment has a future with us
Yeah.
down the line. But we're seeing, that we're pretty attractive for a lot of people out there that have already had some success and have some connections and
Awesome.
they see what we're doing. So in the next 12 months are going to be very interesting.
I love it.
I'm very excited in terms of, you know, investment goals, revenue goals, product goals. We have some nice things coming up, and yeah, we should definitely stay in touch, and I'll
Yeah.
definitely give you some updates on that as we go.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think hearing your vision and your why is really powerful, and it's some I could totally see how it's something that people just want to get behind and they want to fight for a cause that's really that powerful. And when it comes to, and I appreciate you kind of sharing that your guys' goal is to look to raise capital, and a lot of the reasons why, like a lot of the stuff that you guys want to offer kind of later on down the road. What would you say would be one thing that you'd want a venture capitalist firm to know about you guys? Like usually I'm not too familiar, I guess, what they're searching for to obviously they want to make an ROI on their money, and they want the vision and like use cases and proof of concept to be there. But what is one thing that if you could tell a venture capitalist firm that maybe you feel like would kind of help you guys out? Do you know maybe what that one thing would be?
The one thing that a venture capital firm could do to help us out,
Yeah.
you know, I want to be aligned with venture capital firms that are aligned with our mission. It's it's not it's you'd be surprised.
Hmm.
It's I've been open with some VCs that I've talked to, and
Hmm.
some of them are not aligned with the mission, and
100%.
and you think that they would be, but it's okay. I prefer someone to tell me straight and tell me, look, that's not really aligned with us, and all that. And
Yeah.
it's not the easiest thing to find the right fit, because I see a VC firm as a partner.
Right.
Like some people out there will say you can't trust a VC, they're in it just for the money.
Hmm.
But I honestly believe that there are people out there who are in the business of venture capital
100%.
that truly like they truly put themselves into themselves, like into the business that they're investing in, and want to make connections,
Yeah.
and they're making a significant investment, right? And so we're looking for those types of VCs that can add value through their network, also through their experience. And I'm the type of guy that, like, I'm no ego,
Yeah.
and I've always said, ego is not your amigo, right? So it's
I love.
like I know where I have faults.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not the best at making cold calls. I will make them.
Yeah.
Maybe there's someone out there that's good at biz deving and that knows how to uh, onboard those
Sure.
types of people, right? And so I'm always on the lookout for those types of experiences, those types of VCs that have maybe even some founder experience,
Yep.
and that want to make those connections. And so that's the type of thing that we're looking for.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that as well. And they've got to be out there, man. I know that there are good people out there. You like to think positive. I always like to take that positive outlook as well. And I think just the more that you guys keep chomping at the bit, like the right people will find you guys when you're in alignment with your guys' cause and your guys' why. I think
And
the
like I said,
stars will
they've
align.
been coming to us, and like I said, they've
Yeah.
been coming. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned, we have some people joining in. They're doing their due diligence.
Oh wow.
We even have companies that want to buy us out. But we feel like it's too early.
Yeah.
Number one, and we haven't gotten to anywhere near our potential. I feel like our potential is
Oh yeah.
way higher.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just so passionate about it. Like, um, it's not the time to sell. So if there is a VC out there that wants to invest in us or something like that, just know that that's another thing I'm looking for, is one that wants to come on this ride
Yeah.
for that full potential growth of, like, for example, an IPO.
Mhm.
Not a quick get it done flip,
Right.
but go down for the long haul. Uh, and I would say, if I had to compare it to something, I'd compare it to Palantir.
Palantir, right. 100%. No, that is awesome, man. I think that, for anybody that watches this podcast and maybe they want to connect with Ralph or they want to connect with WeCheck outside of your guys' website, what would be like the best social platform for them to connect with you guys and check out all the awesome stuff you guys are doing?
Well, I mean, LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is really where we live, because we're really focused on the corporate environment at this very moment,
Nice.
to capture that market fit. I mean, we're B2B SaaS at this moment. So, and my email. I mean, people can always email me.
Yep.
I look at every email. Ralph at WeCheck.ai, RALPH at WeCheck.ai.
Nice.
Email me, and if I don't respond in time and you're really interested, do a quick bump up. I do get a lot of emails, and some people will be like, "Why are you putting your email out there?" And it's like, you just never know. Actually, I've had some of my best opportunities come through because of just a just random
Cool.
email.
Yep. I love it, man. I love it, especially from a marketing perspective. But I'll be sure to include all of the links to your email, your guys' website, your social media. All of that will be in the description of the YouTube video and what we post on LinkedIn as well. I highly recommend that you guys do go check out WeCheck and all the awesome things that they're doing. But other than that, really, thank you so much again, Ralph, for your time and for your insights today. And we'll catch you guys in the next video.
Thank you, Tyson. Thank you, everybody.